We, of course, will not reveal who told us that the chief had gone to court, but both situations are ridiculous. For the army chief to say that he knew the story had become public only when he saw it on Times Now, and for government sources to say the defense minister only knew that the general had gone to court when he switched on Times Now. It's a completely ridiculous situation on both sides. General Shankar Prasad, former Director General Military Operations, Brigadier retired V. Mahalingam from Delhi tonight, and General P. N. Hoon, ex-Commander-in-Chief, Western Command and Director of Military Affairs to the Cabinet from Chandigarh. Thank you very much, gentlemen. General Shankar Prasad, people are getting a little tired of this anonymous shadow boxing and name calling. It's not in the nature of an army to fight in an anonymous manner like this. And government sources are saying one thing on record. Off record, they call journalists that they say all kinds of things against the army chief. Off record, sources close to the army chief say all kinds of things against the government. I mean, let them all come in and have an open debate on the news. I mean, how long will the country stay in the suspended animation?
Arnab, it is the saddest moment of my entire military career of 45 years and nearly 10 years of retirement. I have held this army in such great esteem, and today I feel ashamed that the manner in which the whole thing has come into a public domain. It is so sad that I have to take a position either for the Chief of the Army Staff or against the Chief of the Army Staff, or say neither here nor there. The fact is very simple, that the date of birth biological may be correct. The Chief of the Army Staff may be able to produce enough evidence in a court of law to substantiate that he was born in 1951 as against 1950. He certainly would have adequate evidence to say that. But the point is, why did he not produce his evidence before the court 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago? When he was being examined, when he was being considered for promotion, and all kinds of letters are flying up and down as per the media report, that was the time to put a statutory complaint. That was the time for the statutory complaint decision to be received. And that was the time, if he was not satisfied, he should have gone to the court. Look, he is an outstanding officer. It's very sad that people like us who hold the office of the Chief of Army Staff in such high esteem has to be ridiculed today. Has to be put on the India Today news magazine to say self before service. I mean, do you think it's doing good to the country? Today, the nation is suffering so severely that none of us realize where we are leading to. It's a big fight between the officers of within the army itself. I read newspaper reports this morning to say that some sections of young officers support the chief, and some sections of the senior officers, of the middle officers, don't support the chief. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to reduce the army to ridiculous. Some kind of a situation where the government and the army are not together?
No, I agree with you, but you see,
it is so distressing.
It's very distressing. I think there's nothing more distressing than hearing some people, and I think it's actually wrong to say, and all those people putting the arguments that, for the first time, people tweeting silly tweets saying that, there's a comparison that can be drawn between Pakistan and India. Both our armies are at war with their governments. I think that's a very shallow, point of view. But it's sad that that point of view is coming out. But who's to blame, Brigadier Mahalingam? Who's to blame?
See, I just want to mention one thing. It was being said that why didn't the chief go to the courts 6, 8 years before? But I must make it a point that the chief, right at the beginning, went and wrote to the MS branch. And after writing to the MS branch, he appealed to the chief. He appealed to the defense ministry. Thereafter, he put in a statutory complaint. This is the procedure and the channel that an army man has known. He has done everything possible. What option did the government give him that he has to keep quiet? Secondly, I also would like to mention to you that in the army headquarters, there are a number of branches, number of sections, and number of them have the personal data of officers for various purposes. Now, if A, B, and X branches or sections have the wrong date of birth, should the army chief go around and correcting every single branch or section's date of birth? I mean, the data which they have. Don't they have a base? Doesn't the army headquarters have a base section or a base organization which maintains these data? And that is AG's branch. Why didn't this MS branch go to the AG's branch and check on that? Why have we brought this to this stage? This army chief joined the NDA at the age of 14. and he has put in over 4 decades of service. And is this the way that you want to treat the Chief of the Army Staff?
But there are contradictions, sir. There are contradictions, sir. There are contradictions, sir. A basic contradiction is government sources had a briefing today. I'm just not naming names because none of those names want to come on record. But I can tell you our reporters have been briefed by the top authorities in the government. And they say, here we have a chief who says one thing off record or whose sources close to him say one thing, that I'm willing to resign the moment 1951 is agreed to. But in the application of the petition that he puts before the Supreme Court, the government alleges that he's saying that all decisions based upon 1950 must be kept in abeyance. In other words, the government says that actually the chief is fighting for tenure. Now, what is embarrassing here is that this fight is leading to disgraceful comparisons, sir. Some people are comparing us to Pakistan. I mean, this fight has to end, Brigadier Mahalingam. The longer it continues, this fight for personal honor, and dignity.
I'm sorry, he is not fighting for his tenure. Please let us get that out of our mind. Tenure, 10 months makes no difference to him. It's a question of honor. How is he going to, the troops whom he has served, what are they going to think? They are going to think, here is a liar who has kept his mouth shut and went away. There is something fishy.
So how do you
want the troops to feel that way? We have never, the soldier has never.
So who's taken a dipstick of how the troops feel?
It is not the way the army functions.
Who's taken a dipstick of how the troops feel? I mean, the troops the troops would don't run by popular surveys. I want to bring in General Hoon here. This is extremely, difficult, embarrassing to continue this debate anymore. But, we have to debate. It has to come to some resolution. General Hoon, may I please draw you in, sir? Your response to Brigadier Mahalingam.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I think that this debate has been now dragged too long. It is very painful. And I think that whatever anyone is saying, in the larger interest, we must solve this problem as fast as possible. I don't think there is a crisis anywhere in the government, but it's very painful, and it could have been solved earlier, but it can be solved now also. There are certain basic points that I would like to bring out, and one major point is that the Chief of the Army Staff, who leads such a wonderful army, which is the best in the world, and he himself is a brilliant officer, he has to go to a court of law to fight for his age. And quite rightly, as it has been said, that it should have been brought out earlier. I also feel that the crisis has to blow over. Second thing is that as far as the comparison with Pakistan and the Indian Army is concerned, I think it is horrific. There is no way that anyone is taking decisions. We are a democracy.
Absolutely.
We are a democracy. And as a democracy, we uphold it. The army also upholds it. And let me tell you, Anurag, that a large number of times there have been occasions where when I was also for 40 years in the army, and I retired about 24 years ago, when there was a lot of discussion on points. If I didn't agree with a certain point, I was also the Director General of Military Operations, and it's very important. But it is not always that I have to prevail over it. It's a thing that you sit down, you sort it out, you discuss it with the Cabinet Committee on Security, you work out everything, and then if the government gives an order, then we have to obey it as if it was done by me, that I am executing it and I accept it and I go ahead.